What is the real need that you have in your life right now? What is the real need? Is it friendship? Is that what it is? Is it meaning and purpose in life? Or is it healing? It's usually one of those three things that are glaring in our life that we are looking for, searching for. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you heard of that phrase, it's an old phrase. And maybe we're younger, we haven't heard that phrase, but you know, you got that shopping cart. You're in the shopping store and you got that shopping cart that's got the squeaky wheel on it. And it's just crying out, right? Give me the grease. And so that wheel gets the grease because it's crying out. It's an old phrase that means that those who cry out will get what they need. And that's what's going on in the gospel with the blind man. That blind man is a representative of all of us. And we hear him crying out. He's a representative in all of us that we all have a need. But what he is doing is he's crying out. You know. And then there's that crowd. What is that crowd? Why is that crowd always putting people down? Trying to keep people from getting to Jesus? What is that crowd about? Why is that crowd always like that? It's because people have a tendency to shame their needs, their weakness. We kind of learn that when we're young, not to show our weaknesses. Because there are some people who will take advantage of us, take advantage of that weakness. And there's other people who believe, well, you just need to deal with it. Keep quiet. Toughen up. But the crowd's shaming of that man does not stop him. He cries out all the more. And Jesus stops. And he turns to that man. What can I do for you? I have this need. I want to be able to see. And Jesus heals the man. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. The crowd is a bunch of weasels. It's what they are. Notice that they say, well, you know, they rebuke the man, and then when Jesus comes, when Jesus calls him, he said, "Oh, get up, take courage." Guy's already got courage. He's the one, in spite of the crowd, who's speaking up. Yeah. Most people live desperate lives. Most people lead desperate lives. They won't let go of their pride, will they? Why live? Why choose that? Why choose to live such a miserable life? You know, I think people say, well, God never, I'm dealing with this stuff and God never helps me. Have you cried out for help? That's how it works. When we cry, God hears us. When we realize what we need and we ask, God hears us. Not everybody calls out to God. Not everybody enters the narrow gate and asks for help. Not everybody puts puts down their pride. But the ones who do find fulfillment. What is your need? Is it friendship? Have you called out to God for friendship? Have you put yourself out there? Have you introduced yourself to others? Do you call people? Are you waiting for people to call you? Are you willing to make that call, to call out to God? Have you been willing to put yourself out there to join a group where you could meet people, new people? Maybe a service group or an adult faith group. So many people to meet. Have you called out? Or maybe you're trying to find meaning in life. Have you ever called out to God? Have you ever talked to somebody about what might be the meaning in your life? And really that meaning is really finding your ministry in life. Maybe your ministry right now is your children. Maybe your ministry right now is to be a support to a friend who's really struggling. Maybe your ministry right now is to an ailing parent. Our ministry is so much tied into our work. Do we see our work as a ministry? Do we have meaning in it? I was talking to somebody and, he works at a tool and die place. And, and you might think, oh, well, you're mass producing tools. What kind of meaning can there be in mass producing tools? Well, on every tool he makes, he puts a person's name on it. And as he makes that tool, he prays for that person. Have you called out to God for meaning? Ask for help. Those who can help you to find work or what your vocation might be. Have you called out to God for healing? Have you called out to God, to doctors, to nurses who can help you? Or maybe you got a chronic illness. Have you called out to God in friends for support? Have you called out to God in those people who could be your legs for you, or could be your arms or your eyes? Or maybe we're suffering mentally and emotionally and spiritually. Have we called out to God in counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, support groups? God hears our cry. We have to be willing to cry out and to be persistent in finding God. That God hears our cries. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And there is no shame in that.